Welcome to the Mark IV Volkswagen Golf, which was released in 1997, so it's now a 25-year-old design. It doesn't feel it, it really doesn't. There's a couple of things that kind of give away its age when you get in it, and they're actually positives straight away. It's like sitting in a fish tank. The amount of glass in this car and the thin, narrow A-pillars, the visibility is just fantastic. For like your kids or your dogs or whoever's in this car, it feels open and airy and spacious. I was pretty excited to get behind the wheel of one of these because it's a car that was everywhere in my teenage years and I was sort of in my early 20s. They were still fairly new. In fact, in 2001, this was Europe's best-selling car, superseded in 2002 by the Peugeot 206, but the thing is, you still see these Golfs everywhere. It's because they were built to last. So this particular car I'm in today is a 2003 1.9 TDI. All the diesels were 1.9 TDI, so that doesn't tell you much. But what I will tell you is this is the 100 horsepower version. It actually doesn't feel too bad at all. It's got a good surge of torque from the turbo when you put your foot down. It's really actually quite impressive given it's only 100 horsepower. And I think what helps with that is that this car weighs 1,250 kilos, which by the late 2000s standards was quite good. Cars were getting pretty heavy. The ride is really comfortable. The suspension is set up for comfort. You can tell that it's got big fat tyres on it that you don't really get today on modern cars. You just get little rubber bands, whereas this has got big chunky tyres, softly set up suspension, easy to just like soak up the potholes and horrible roads of the UK. The steering is actually slightly heavier than a lot of modern hatchbacks, but it's still by no means heavy steering. The gear change is really nice. It feels quite slick and it just slots in nicely. It's an easy car to drive, as you'd hope and expect. Amy and her dog Scrap, who jointly own this car together, they go everywhere in it, all across the country, up and down the motorways, and thousands of miles and nice long walks. I can see why this car would be great for that. The dog's not going to get too worried because it can see everything that's going on. The interior of this car, I'd be lying if I was saying it was exciting, but it's very business-like. It's well put together, of course. I mean, this car's barely run in at 115,000 miles. In terms of the sort of creaks and rattles and things in this interior, there's not really much. When you press these buttons on the dash, they feel like proper, chunky, solid things that you press in. They really are like, yeah, I'm choosing that option. Other body styles available for the Golf, well, there was an estate version and there was also a saloon version, but they don't call that the Golf, they called it the Borer. You could get the Golf with a 5 or 6-speed manual or a 6-speed automatic. You could get it with 4-wheel drive, although most were front-wheel drive. And you could get it in both 2-door and 4-door form, which is not really a thing manufacturers do anymore. And then finally, there was a cabriolet, but it wasn't actually the Mark IV, it was based on the Mark III. They tried to make it look like the Mark IV, but they were using the old Golf, and then they never actually chopped the roof off of this version. There's a couple of other things that I've sort of spotted that tell you a bit about the quality of the car, and that's when you open the bonnet, it's on gas struts, and luxury cars have gas struts, and budget or sports cars, you have to manually yank the bonnet up yourself. When you open the boot, the handle's just got this quite nice feeling to it. When you get in it, there's this the door hinge, which has its 3 clicks on it, so you can keep the door open at different angles. But you can see the mechanism, the solidity of the bracket that holds the door on. The available engines in the Golf, there was loads of them. There were various flavours of 1.9 TDI, from 100 horsepower to 150 in the GT TDI. Then you had the petrols. There were various petrol engines. They kind of messed up Volkswagen when they were naming the GTI version. They basically gave the bog standard 2-litre petrol the GTI badge, and it didn't really deserve it. It had 115 horsepower. The 0 to 60 was something like 10 seconds. They did do some quicker ones with like the 1.8 turbo, and then you had the VR6 versions of the Golf as well, so there certainly were quick Mark IV Golfs you could get hold of. That 1.9 TDI engine, also known as the PD engine, when these engines are looked after, now you only have to watch a couple of episodes of Car Throttle where they're talking about the Audi A4 or the Skoda Octavia with the same engine, and you know that these can routinely do 500,000 miles with no real problems. So this car's the sort of like a mid-level trim level. It's called Match. I think it was one they did later on in its life. It's got electric windows all around. It's got air conditioning. It was actually fairly well equipped for its day. By the end of the Golf's life, you could actually get stuff like auto wipers. This doesn't have cruise control. It does have a wonderful CD player that tells you that there's a CD in there, so you don't have to check. This is a good test of the visibility here now. This road, it's hard to see what's coming because you have to pull out at a weird angle, but It's actually pretty good. I thought that the C-pillar might be a problem because obviously you've got that Golf design of the big fat C-pillar at the back. I think there's probably some situations where if you were reversing out at a particular point, the C-pillar might become an issue. Now I'm on the move and sort of doing 50 miles an hour on an A road. There's a little bit of wind noise coming from the mirrors and stuff, but for a car of its era, it's pretty nicely refined, and that ride is just lolloping along and soaking up all the bumps, and the seats are comfortable. Where it doesn't really excel is around the twisty corners. It's quite boaty McBoatface, should we say. I mean, it's by no means terrible, you know, it's going to get you around the corners. It doesn't feel like a driver's car to me. It feels set up much more to be just this like comfortable car. The steering's not sharp. It's fine, gets you around, but this is something I like about this car. The indicator action. The indicator stalk itself just feels nice to use when you click it on, and then it's got the nicest sounding indicator tick that I've heard on any car for a while. Creature comforts inside this cabin. There's actually no cup holders anywhere. That sort of gives its age away a bit. There's a nice big sized glove box and door pockets on each side. But there's no centre console cubby, just this ashtray that opens up like a wardrobe. Then you've got this sliding panel here which reveals the 12 volt socket and a small area for bits and bobs. I've always been a fan of the looks of the Mk4 Golf. It's not actually like a classically pretty car or anything, but it's just very robust looking and Golf-like. The Mk5 and Mk6 afterwards kind of went a bit roundy. I think that the Mk7 brought this style back, and it's kind of like the spiritual successor. As always with these videos, I love to hear from the owners of these cars, so if you've got one of these Golfs, just let me know what you think of it. If you've got a diesel with like mega miles on it or something, comment below, because let's see if we can like find out who's got the most miles on their Golf. Safety wise, it's sort of a car of its era. It was quite good for its day. It was a 4-star on the Euro NCAP. It's got like airbags in front of you and on the sides, but there's no curtain airbags. And it also has ABS as standard, and I know for a fact that the Mk1 Focus didn't have ABS as standard because the car I learnt in was one of those. The instructor made me deliberately lock up the wheels. Well, that's going to be impossible in this car because you'll never be able to lock up the wheels because it's got ABS. Hi mate, how's it going? What have you been up to? Hiya mate. Yeah, alright thanks. I've been reading this book here. After the reveal of the Mk4 Golf, Bob Lutz asked VW overlord Ferdinand Piëch how he had achieved the car's impressively tight shut lines and panel fits. Piëch replied that he had simply called the people responsible into his office and told them that they had 6 weeks to make it happen or they'd be fired. Interestingly, back here, so I've got like loads of headroom, but the leg room's actually quite tight, with the chair set for someone like 6 foot in front. What is kind of cool is you can actually adjust the seat belts up and down here. That's unusual for the back. The seats split fold 60/40, and the boots are decent size, as you would expect. Cheers for that. Cheers for that, Backseat JJ. Hi, it's Editing JJ here. Please can you like this video? Thanks. Imagine in the 1990s driving a car around that was designed 23 years ago. Most of them would have rusted away by then or long been consigned to the scrap heap. But these days, 2022, you can buy a car that's 25 years old like this Golf and it's absolutely fine. It just feels like I'm driving a modern car pretty much. Yes, it's not got a huge touchscreen in the middle. We live in a world where we like throwing stuff away, so a lot of these cars don't make it. So that's the Mk4 Volkswagen Golf, a comfortable, spacious, practical, reliable car. It's no wonder it sold as many as it did back in the late 90s and early 2000s. In the future, if I do another video on the Golf, it's going to go up there, but for now it'll be just another interesting video that I think you should watch. So click that. Thanks very much, and I'll see you in the next video.